Motor City for Richey City Council Workshop, Friday, January 23rd, 2026. I stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I guess, Mr. Clerk, can I have roll, please?
Today,
Yep. Today.
Mayor John Eric Cooper.
Here.
Vice Mayor Chris Mayer.
Here.
Councilman Robert Hubbard.
Here.
Councilwoman Lisa Burke.
Here.
Councilwoman Christine Sullivan.
Here.
City Manager Don King.
Here.
And City Attorney Nancy Meyer. Let the record show that City Attorney Nancy Meyer is not present at this meeting.
Thank you. First up, we got public comment. Public participation is encouraged. If you're addressing the council, please step to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Please limit your general comments to 3 minutes. For comments on action items, we don't have any action items tonight, but we do have agenda items. Please limit comments to 3 minutes on the current topic. Please limit your conversations while sitting in the audience during council business. Silence your cell phones as to not interfere with everyone's ability to hear the comments of both the public and the council. I do have one signed up, Ed Cowlin, is that correct?
Com, yes, sir.
Com, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, council people. I'm Ed Com. I'm kind of the rabbit in the background. I've been coaching, been doing, and I thank you for your support that you've been giving him and also giving me. I know he's brought to you guys to have me help with some RFP stuff to do what we started over 12 years ago. Here, I am.
Ed, just give me your address.
Okay, 2384 Santa Cruz Avenue, Clearwater.
Thanks.
33764. Sorry, Mayor.
You're good.
Just to give you all a heads up, so 12 years ago, 15 years ago, we started down a path to really develop the coast. I'm just here to fully support that. I think you really need to look at your form-based permitting and how you guys go about what the next steps are going to be, because you have several big players that are looking at you all to invest some money here. And I think that if you show them that you're coming forward with the CRA credits that you guys are using and some form-based stuff, I think you'll find that you're going to have some investment here in the area that, like I said, started really about 15 years ago when I worked for Pasco County. So with that, anything you guys need of me, I'm an avid volunteer. I won't cost you nothing. I'll be honest with you and straightforward. If there's something you need done, let me know.
Thanks, Ed. Appreciate it. Appreciate that price. I like that price. That's all sign-ups I have for general comment. Is there show of hands? Lord?
I signed this paper here. Maybe it's the wrong one.
Wait. So I've got you for the second one. You want to go now?
Wait to comment after the.
You can comment now, and you can comment then as well if you want.
Okay, I'll wait till later.
Okay. Anyone else? Show of hands like to comment? Okay, seeing none, to bring it back to our first order of council business. Number one, guest speaker Paul LaFrance, benefits of a theme, and I think he's joining us via Zoom.
Do a little intro.
Yeah, Joe Buck, if you want to introduce, absolutely.
Yeah, so I just wanted to, first I want to thank everyone for being here. It's a special day for all of us, especially Adam Thomas and the team Board of Sports Coast, as well as Richard Jenkins. For decades, many of us have wanted to see positive development on our waterfront. Through a variety of shortfalls, development has been slow. We have a council that is now willing and welcome and incentivize current property owners and businesses, as well as current developers, which we're blessed to have, for future developers and entrepreneurs. This can be done many ways, such as CRA funds, marketing, upgrade codes, tax incentives, and so on. We are working on that now. We're doing a lot of landscaping on the 19 corridor. We got new signs, and we're in the progress of putting together a place that people, so we need to check that out. So what we're going to discuss today is going to be kind of like icing on a cake. So many of us believe that providing our waterfront district with a theme or a unique image that is fun and inviting, we will create an environment that everyone will want to be a part of. This will also help marketing the district, the same as branding. The positive growth of Port Richey's waterfront district is obviously of great benefit to all West Pasco and neighboring communities. This will create a destination, a place that everyone will want to be a part of, a great place for festivals, and a vacation destination for tourism that can generate the income the city and the county needs. We will see today the difference of having a hotel versus condos or apartments. That we don't need those, we need those as well. but it's important to have hotels if you're going to have a destination. The development of our waterfront district was not just a place for our residents to enjoy and a place to be proud of, but also a source of revenue the city requires for developing infrastructure. And now with the looming tax structure changes possible, loss of residential property tax, it could be a matter of survival for the city. So council is in the process of installing new landscaping on the highway corridor, which I just said, hopefully a nice splash pad for Waterfront Park, new public docks, replica stilt house and Brescia Park, and everything that the families would welcome when they come here. I think to help with growth, there needs to be more available public parking with shuttle service as we grow, which we have discussed. And this will increase the property value in the district and stimulate growth. We have with us today, per Zoom, a gentleman with decades of success as a design builder with acclaimed recognition worldwide. He is sought after by developers and hotel execs everywhere. He has 6 successful television series and is also a musician. And I'd like to please welcome Paul LaFrance.
Paul, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And it's the first time I've been called a magician instead of a musician, but I'll take magician. That sounds pretty cool too. I'd like to say first, thanks for Bob Hubbard for we had wonderful chats before, just for having me on today. Don King, the new city manager, we haven't actually met yet, but I'm looking forward to having conversations with you. And I believe Adam Thomas, Donna's friends Adam Thomas and George Nicholas are logged in today as well, or they're there in person. This is an odd thing because normally I can't see anyone, but everyone can see me, so that's kind of normal for me. And then Mike and Tim Lowe, I think the owners of Catches are there as well. Just we had previous conversations. Just want to say hi to them too. I think what we're starting with here. Am I able to share my screen? Do I have permission to do that?
Yes.
All right, let me, sharing is not turned on, so I'm sending a request.
Oh, Sam, he's sent a request to share. He's allowed that. We're trying to fix that camera so you can see the council too.
Oh, good. Well,
Yep, so bear with us.
no problem, no problem. Yes, as soon as that sharing is ready, then let me know. Because I'm going to start with just kind of firing over a Google Earth image of the area. So kind of what I've started with here. So
We're not seeing your screen just yet.
I allowed it.
Yeah,
So
I'm going to
you
wait
probably
here.
should
There we
share
go.
again. It should
There we
come
go. Okay, so we're just going to kind of go to a Google Earth here. Can you guys see? What do you guys? You guys see?
We still see you.
You still just see me. All right, 1 second here. There we go. And
Yeah, there's coming.
there we go. All right, so let me just fire this up there. All right, can you guys see that? The image of
Well,
guys
we
see my
see
cursor?
there it is coming in.
Yeah, it might be a slight delay. Okay, you guys see the image
Yep.
of the. All right, so we're starting with this kind of central area. So the way I kind of verbalize this in meetings such as this is to kind of put a proverbial mold on the table. So what I've worked on is this entire boat launch area. I've not touched the waterfront as of yet, but because the main purpose and everything we've discussed is, I believe, right back here is where the city owns the property toward the back near the highway. And there were discussions about kind of getting this land here where the bait shop is. So everyone kind of familiarized with this particular neck of the woods?
Yes.
Is that fair enough? Good. So I'm going to show you a concept now of a parking structure that doesn't feel like a parking structure and utilizing this entire area as kind of like the catch-all that kind of brings everybody in, that really kind of sets the tone for the area. So I'm going to share my other screen now, and let's make sure everyone can see this. Let me know when you see that.
Not yet. We still see the old image compressed.
Well, it's going to space and back. We'll give it a second here.
There
New
comes.
screen. Is that coming through?
We're there.
Awesome. Okay, so the image you're seeing here is the existing kind of waterfront, which is I haven't touched that yet because I have a lot of questions there. But what we are seeing is right back here. Can you see my cursor? I'm going to make sure this is coming through as I'm talking.
Yep.
All right, so what we got in kind of the original proposal was this very large kind of parking structure. So the idea is that that's where everyone goes. Not just not just people coming to the waterfront, anyone going to the hotel, anyone coming to the restaurants. There is a unified, centralized parking structure that also looks awesome. And so the concept is that from the front of this parking structure is to create this whole area is to create like a promenade, right? So if we're looking down, I think it's Bayview Street, everyone see this okay?
Mm-hmm.
How quickly is it changing here? That's good. So driving in and the concept of pulling in tourism, we want to have visually catching, visually striking promenades. So the idea is that we have created this multi-purpose area. So we'll start with the parking garage here. So this is as I'm changing my screen, is it kind of coming through like as I'm turning, or is it a lag?
I think it's keeping up with you. Seems to be. We're looking at the parking structure now.
Good. So we got our parking structure. This is where everyone's going to be parking, even boats with trailers using the launch. But the idea is that becomes the very first thing that's visible from the highway. So we kind of scan back here. We've got Port Richey. We've got, our entrances into the parking structure down below here, right? So you can see the back laneway. And this, like I said, this is a mold on the table. There's a lot of things we can change. We have an upper area. Everything is shaded from the sun. But this leads to, now, as we kind of come down, I'll give you the overview here. So we've created these structures. So coming off the front, kind of really eye-catching, kind of representing the waves. Coming off the parking structure, we have this kind of large, swooping structure for shade. And the idea is that the minute you leave this area, whether you're catching a shuttle to a hotel or whether you're going to the restaurant, the area also functions as shaded areas for like farmers markets. If you go down to this main area here, you can see very eye-catching. We've got food trucks, which is revenue generating. We have vendor spaces, and so all of this I'm just going to now kind of just walk through this a little bit here. And so there's kind of a system to the queue for people wanting to use the boat launch that doesn't affect anything. But as we can kind of see here, you look up through this structure, and we've got vendors, but there was one of the mentions was about having this amphitheater. But you can see like it's just really kind of eye-catching all the way through. Underneath here, we've got this little amphitheater. We've got tons and tons of space for vendors, for events. We kind of spin around here. You can see we got a concert going on underneath. So this and this is before I've touched the waterfront, right? So, we really want that, we really want to be able to draw people in from the water as well. I'm just going to change my perspective here a little bit just so I can walk through this without it being so zoomed in. Everyone following so far? Is it making sense?
Yeah.
Right. So this is it's something that is eye-catching. It's something that that works with this kind of flow of traffic. We have this center roundabout here. So this land that this is on is this is heading toward where the bait shop is right now. The bait shop is like right behind this, right where these palm trees are in this area. Mm-hmm. But as we kind of go underneath here, we can see exiting from the parking garage. And again, guys, this is the whole point of this is just to show use of this space and, you know, it would draw people out. And there's tons of ideas we can discuss. Like I said, this is the mold on the table. So I just threw some structures in and around, like to show development, not condos, as we were saying, but more, you know, that can be the hotel there. You know, I know that we've got, you know, some ideal locations for a hotel. Shade structures everywhere, just like a real, you know, when you leave this, you're not, when you're going to a hotel, but you're parking in a parking structure, you want it to feel like, you know, it's a tourism destination the minute you leave, something as utilitarian as a parking structure. That would be my goal here. And so everything is just really beautified, you know, as you kind of walk through. This is multi-purpose. We can do anything here. Farmers markets, we can have flea markets, we can have, you know, specialized events. You know, these could be rented, these areas could be rented for wedding venues, you know, just all kinds of ways that we can utilize the space. So, and remember, this existing space right now, I mean, where this whole large section is here, this right now is simply just where, you know, cars with boat trailers are kind of parking, right? It's just kind of a wasted space as we kind of come through here.
Can you explain where the boat trailers will park?
Your mic, please.
Where the boat trailers will park? Yeah. So conceptually, when you're coming in, there's a queue on the far side here, right? So I'm just going to kind of zoom up here quickly. So as you can see, you know, we have a queue here, then you know, as boat vehicles are spinning around, they're backing in, but now you have a vehicle with a long trailer. And so the concept is that back here in the parking structure, the lower level is specifically made for parking of cars with trailers. And again, there's a lot to fine tune here, but as far as just to have a concept together of how you're not having this clutter, you know, this parking structure is the catch-all for everything. And that's, you know, as well as it being something that's visually attractive. But this is where you go to park, and then you're walking back to the boat. Now there are some elements here that have yet to be added in, such as like the, you know, right now we have our public washrooms, and, you know, kind of have like just a loose concept of a shape, something that's again eye-catching. You know, looking from this, you know, this structure here could be, you know, something that would be. This would be like in that last 15%. I think Donna had shared that I was like, you know, kind of 85% on. I'm a little more than that, but again, it's just showing the possibilities. So restrooms at the front, but then there's still all kinds of opportunities here to add elements because we've got lots of space. And in, you know, once we kind of figure out, you know, just where the rest of this is going to go, because the idea of creating this boardwalk community like other areas, you know, this kind of starts right down here on the boardwalk here, and it extends down to other areas. You know, there's a kind of a structure in the back over there that could be a hotel kind of idea, you know, going either way. But we're kind of like I said, we're just kind of centralizing in this section right here. But this is so. There's also the idea of having like shuttles or bike paths that can, you know, like creating these promenades that go to each individual section. You know, and there's a lot to discuss there when it comes to, you know, what everyone else is thinking of doing, because, you know, it's not, you can't just throw bike lanes through the center of someone else's property. You know, you want it to kind of align with what's being built. So that kind of stuff will all develop as it goes. But the idea of having this kind of the boardwalk that follows the waterfront that, you know, kind of encompasses the whole area in a loop, where you could have, like I said, you can have like the shuttles, you can have bike paths, you know, there's all kinds of possibilities. But I mean, for the most part, what we're kind of taking in here, again, in this mold on the table, is just developing this area to be able to create, just taking what we have and be able to utilize the space without even changing roadways or anything, just actual proper infrastructure. You can create something that is absolutely going to be a draw, you know, and that all begins, in my opinion, with leaving, you know, to make this work. You know, EV vehicles are plugging in. Everything flows out of this this kind of rear structure and to service the entire area, which I think is a really smart way to do things, to really minimize traffic and make it really easy to get in and out. But then the rest of it, plays off really, really well without crazy traffic congestion worries. And like I said, there's all kinds of ways we can adjust and play, but this mold on the table just kind of gives a very strong visual, a very strong kind of idea that we can create something just amazing in this space that's going to draw people out. There's also other opportunities within the area, particularly with areas where the city maybe already owns it, where we can do maybe this particular venue down here with a little mini amphitheater. I mean, you can see here this can be this is fantastic for not large concerts, for instance. That we could create another section, another area where it's a much larger amphitheater. But as far as any public speaking venues, small musical events, you can kind of get an idea how it would be a great little drawing place. And there's, like I said, there's all kinds of opportunities to add other elements to this that are going to draw people in. But for the most part, this takes what we have and shows you what can be done in that space. And I really am looking forward to creating this waterfront portion, right? Because right now this is our existing boat ramp. Everyone kind of recognizes that. And adding to this so that we have more slips, the ability to have larger vessels that are leaving from here, and having this existing dock kind of align with this really beautiful focal point, and maybe having a spot out on the edge of the water with a structure out there as well. Mimicking, again, a draw that kind of pulls you out onto the dock area, even if you're not getting in and out of a boat. Lots and lots of opportunities, but like I said, this is the mold on the table that shows just a simple concept of what we can do, and anything can tweak and anything can change. But I often find when you're trying to visualize things, it helps just to start with a visual that allows you to tweak, allows you to change, but shows what is possible. And from what we have existing to what this can look like, that's kind of been my goal as to how this whole area can be developed. And you'll see here that even on the promenades and the walkways and bike paths and all the entrances to the other properties, I've kind of just left it as the entranceways are along these streets, but I've kind of just left it out for now, just until we kind of get a sense from everyone else what we want to do, and then we can show this entire area as a concept.
Yeah, Paul.
Any questions for me? Any questions, guys?
Yeah, I had a little quiz. This is the first time I've seen this concept that you drew up, and it looks very good. I will tell you, I am not a fan of roundabouts. That is the best looking roundabout I've ever seen, though, probably.
Thank you.
You sent me an image of a boardwalk with like a shiplap siding or a shake siding building with metal roof. An image like that, like a fishing village with a boardwalk on the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. That looked really sharp. It kind of really relates to our history and kind of what we're all about. However, that's very impressive. I mean, like you were saying, it's very versatile of what you can do. And that one image you showed me of the waterfront is like a realization of a wooden building with the boardwalk. It looked very impressive too.
It seems
Yeah, and that's what would extend from this waterfront here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So going left and right, this is what we kind of we want to get people to the location and have the journey from a practical space of where our of where you would park, when you're coming to this location, to make the journey to the waterfront as enjoyable as possible. to make it like you're walking through a village, right? You're walking through all kinds of events that are happening. You're walking through, opportunities to buy things, and that's tourism. And once you get down to this waterfront, and this is kind of where I'd like to go from here, is to show once you get here and you spread out across the water, that's where it gets even better, right? So as you can see, none of this is touched because we have some existing areas there. We kind of just want to know, with get people excited about this concept, because while there's a lot of beauty here, this is pure ergonomics. This is practicality. We got to address, how do you address practicality and make it a wow factor? If you can do that, then everything else falls into place much, much easier. And so, and that's kind of where it would spread out from here, because once you get down to the waterfront and you're now on the water, we have more restaurants, we have more shops, we have the connection to any of the other development that takes place to the left or right of this particular image. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It looks good. It looks good if you don't have a boat ramp there. With a boat ramp, it just looks like a cluster because there's absolutely no way you're going to get boats around all those food trucks and everything else. And let me tell you, that boat ramp is important to a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
So this year, it's too much for boats and vehicles and trailers, and that's too much all the way to the waterfront.
So you're saying this would be too much for boats to access?
Well, if you're having vehicles with boats on them come around that, and now you've got food trucks all the way down the side. No, that's
so. I did put a lot of thought into that. So as you can see over here, this is like this would be, and like I said, this is probably going to go a bit longer. But as you can see, we could have a queue for 6 to 7 boats boats and trailers at a time over in this area, right? This is going to extend more. We have like another lineup, and so as you the concept would be, and I've done this in other areas before, is that as you're coming in, there is a very strong visual cue and directions. This is where you're waiting for your turn to launch, and then it's one at a time. And then as the vehicle comes around, you're coming in, you're backing down, and then you're driving out, right? You're driving out and you're parking in the parking garage.
You are if your boat starts, because it doesn't work that simple every time.
Yeah, and so there's all kinds of ways to be able to make sure that works. So like right now, this entire patch of greenery here, and like the food trucks can go easily on the other side, where we've got, we have a wider promenade, right? That's simple. But let's say you have a vehicle and your boat's not starting, and this is an area on the side here where regular traffic can still spread around, but you can be parking along this edge here while you're dealing with the fact that you forgot to put gas in the boat. You know what I mean? And I'm a heavy boater myself, and marinas and boat launches before, and so make no mistake, this has to work. I have all the confidence in the world that it will, and but it just makes a really big difference that once that boat is in the water, that a vehicle with a trailer has a place to go, and it's not just sitting here cluttering up this entire front area.
So
does that make any sense?
The lower level of the parking garage will be high enough for more than just speed type boats.
Correct. Yeah,
because
so it's actually designed that way now.
Fishing boats with their tops.
Yeah, so once the boat is launched, the lower level of the parking garage is, as of right now, just in its basic design form, has a much higher ceiling than the subsequent levels up, which is for just for regular vehicles, cars and trucks. But it is done with ample clearance, so that trucks with trailers, and they can be driving in and out. Now the idea is that you're not taking a sailboat and parking it in the lower level of a parking garage. You're you'd be driving that around to here, launching, and then parking.
Right.
So yeah, no, but you're absolutely correct. The boat launch is imperative. I just want to make the boat launch flow into this awesome area as seamlessly as possible so that you have the functionality without robbing us of the ability for this to be a draw, as opposed to it just being littered with, trucks and trailers. I think this does that.
Any other questions for Paul?
Like I said, this is like one of a few concepts, but if we want people coming down 19 and say, oh, we need to check that place out, this is one idea that would definitely work, just with the parking garage alone. But there's other concepts. But yeah, it's something definitely to start with.
That's what I mean by the mold on the table. So
And
any
the
good
boat ramp is only certain hours. It's like closes at sunset. So after hours, and it's open, and you can have certain activities after that. And you can actually
Exactly.
close the boat ramp once the other boat ramp's open. There are certain days, if you have a festival, you can actually close the boat ramp for a couple of days, as long as people are notified.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the focus on the design is that even if this place is absolutely jammed with a festival, that it's still, if it doesn't automatically mean that a family wanting to come with their boat to spend time here, to stay at the hotel, that it doesn't prohibit them from being able to do so, even if it's jammed. And so, I mean, for me, like, that would be important for me, to be able to come down with my 4 daughters and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. And we're going to stay at the hotel, and we're going to go to all these fun restaurants. We're going to walk along the boardwalk, and we're going to go boating. And then, and they're having a festival this weekend, but oh no, the boat ramp is closed. But let's just say that the whole purpose of this design is to make sure that it functions, that area can function. But you're right. When the typical, closing at sunset, that just eliminates that level of traffic at certain times of day for sure. And like I said, the whole point of this initial is to go, ooh, this opens up all kinds of parameters. It gives the visual of how a space that's being, which is just, utilitarian at best right now, can be just in this single corridor, just this one strip from the water back to the highway, immediately is a draw for all kinds of, like the fact that this is visible from the highway, that's what people will be seeing. And there's all kinds of festival, like the way that I've designed. One second, I'm just going to move myself in here. The way that I've kind of designed this structure here is that, I put these trees here just because it's just gives me a backdrop to play with. But, if we're having festivals, this is designed so we can hang banners, right, at the back. So you're seeing from the highway, if there's a festival happening, we have interchangeable banners that can be hung here. And, the fun part is taking something as utilitarian as a parking garage, make it look stunning, as opposed to it just being, what parking garages typically are. And if we can succeed in doing that, and then it almost, it creates the feel of, it doesn't become this behemoth, this great big monolith that you're trying to beautify around. It actually becomes part of the beauty. Any other questions or comments? I'm not sure about my time here, guys. So you guys let me know if.
Oh, you're good. So is there any more comments from council? Any public comment on this? Anybody have any questions for Paul? Lori? Welcome. Yep, name and address for the record.
Lori Simpson, 5006 Sunset Boulevard. That's the most amazing parking garage I've ever seen, but I've never seen a parking garage where you park boat trailers. I've driven a truck with a 30-foot boat trailer. I would not go in that parking lot. I'd be too afraid. The columns are going to be tricky. I can barely make the turn on US 19. So that's a concern, going around columns inside of a parking garage with a boat trailer.
Yep, and that's where, when it comes down to designing this with engineering, it's there's a specific flow of traffic, and there's all kinds of studying that we have to do, looking at, existing traffic, versus boat launch traffic versus expected, being able to look ahead and see, what would we be expecting, and so that so that the flow is really simple, so that when you're driving in, as we're seeing with the vehicle ahead, you're driving into a larger section, but there's lots of space for turning. And because of the overall width of the parking garage, I don't have any doubt that can be taken into account. And believe me, as I said, as a boater, because as we all know, anyone boating and pulling trailers, we know that the boat does not follow in the same way that other towed vehicles would. So you have to take wider turning radiuses, and all that would be taken into account. And because it has to function, right? But right now, if we, that's pretty classic, where there are those issues you want to be able to address. Those are practical issues, and those are the questions that have to get asked. That's perfectly reasonable. Here's kind of just a daytime shot as we're kind of flowing through. Right. So another part about this structure is, this is right now is made for shade, but this can be rain proof as well, right? And so just to have water run off. Any other comments?
Any public comment? No. Hey, Paul. Just and I don't know if you have got this far into that, but what would be a price tag on something like this?
Yeah, and that is something that is something where that would take a lot more. Before we can even start looking at pricing, we have to make sure we're checking off all the marks on what we need checklist, and then we can actually start looking at structures. Because again, once the conceptual elements are in place, we'd be talking with local builders and getting quotes on things, and that would be ballpark. That would be a follow-up stage for sure. Because then there's budgets, and then what can we do, and then what materials would be used for for facades and things like that. All that stuff just kind of that stuff would follow up in subsequent. I'd love to be able to throw a number at you, but I wouldn't insult you by even pretending to know that off the top of my head.
I didn't know if you had just an idea ballpark, because honestly, what it appears to me, this would be more of a city type project. Because
correct,
right. So it obviously that would matter.
Mayor, the one question I have on this is, I love it, and the question is do the logistics come first before we start building the waterfront, or does the water come first and we build the logistics for it? That being said, if this is something we invest in, Paul, did you do any analysis for a business model on this? As far as probably revenue to break even point, with regards of potentially using this as probably a revenue generating parking garage, because there's maintenance going to have to be kept in it, and that's the only way we'll be able to sustain it. But in the same breath, something that if we invest in within, let's say, 5 years, we make our money back, and this thing becomes self-sustaining, but yet a central focal piece of Port Richey, because there's a lot of things that I can see that the council can really do with it. There's a variety of different projects and events that you could do with it if it's built the way it is.
Yeah, this is just an example also.
Yeah, I will say it as I look at this, it gives me the feel that this is what it would look like if I was launching my boat in Las Vegas, and it's a bit overwhelming. It's very very elegant, so I applaud you for your design for sure. And again, that being said, it's probably a very 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 expensive project, but it does have some elements that are intriguing for sure, especially as you come off with your little water structure there. Kind of underneath that with the mini amphitheater and that. That's really kind of been the challenge as we look at what are we going to do in that area. trying to integrate something with a boat ramp is a challenge. So you've definitely come up with a way to do that, which is interesting.
Thank you.
It reminds me of a lot of Sims Park, actually. I mean, maybe an upgraded version.
That structure there, yeah.
Well, you know, just all of it. And if Port Richey could get a Sims Park type of location, I think we'd be doing very well.
Any other questions for Paul? Okay. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. And we're going to move along to the next item. Did you have anything else you wanted to add before I move on to the next item?
Yeah, I was just, your final comment was just going to be just to address that question of in order to kind of draw in developers, for sure. I mean, for developers to know that this is something that Port Richey is serious about, it's pretty common that it is kind of like a putting your money where your mouth is type of thing. And this goes in any city in the world. Well, we'll say North America just for kicks. If it's like, hey, we really want this, and so the infrastructure being kind of set up because let's hey, we want a hotel. In order to have a hotel, we got to know well where. With the individual plots of land that we have, can we do an amazing hotel here? Yeah, we can. But having that parking structure, just even as the initial, even if there's a stage 1 and a stage 2 of beautification factor, there's all kinds of ways to do it. But as far as the investment into the central park, if you will, that is going to say a lot to moving the dream forward as to making this what it absolutely should be, and that is an absolute magnet for tourism.
Hey, in your experience, Paul, is it normal that a hotel would look for places that there would be adequate parking before they build their hotel, or would it be that the hotel, when they build their hotel, they build parking with their hotel? I was kind of, my understanding would be when I build a hotel, I'm actually building the parking integrated with my hotel, not looking for places that have parking. But
well, that would be the issue. There is that let's say, and I work with a lot of hotel owners. Hey, we have this plot of land and we can build the parking right into it. Mm-hmm. What we're dealing with here is we have ownership of land, whether either existing owners or future developers are going to buy that land to be able to maximize the actual footprint, right? Because each individual plot is not like this, a very large space. It's big enough for the hotel, but to be able to know that the parking isn't going to minimize the space of the hotel, so it becomes so small that it becomes irrelevant because of the fact that we're on the waterfront, and that's the key, right? You go back a kilometer or a mile into inland, and it's a whole different ball of wax because the water is the draw.
Yeah,
being able to have that. So that's what makes this kind of it's not unique by any stretch of the imagination, but it does create that challenge, and that's where the town stepping in and saying, hey, we really want this. This is going to bring revenue to Port Richey. This is going to put us on the map from a tourism, which we darn well should be. That's what makes the difference. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of hotels will build public parking as well as parking for themselves for the district because they want the public also to come to some of their events. They could have like a rooftop restaurant or different activities or clubs inside the hotel that they entertain the public. And of course, this is also for us to look at as far as incentives for them to do that. Would help, so it wouldn't cost the city much or anything. There could be grants involved with that, but it's something that public parking is critical for the growth, no matter what it
Correct.
is. You got to have access. We're already working on docks and so forth, but we need parking.
Exactly.
The history of the city is more like the fishing village, and I know that we had looked at some of the boardwalks that you had drawn up. That's very good, but functionality and logistics has to tie in with design, and it looked like you put some thought into that. But obviously, you're available if say the city manager in our planning and zoning committee has a question for you, you would be available?
Of course I would be. Yeah, I mean, so for me, this is the stuff I get excited about. I like anything that gets me into creating communities that brings family together, that draws, that creates that type of destination where, you know, I'm a big seize the day, time standing still, you know, in the fastest moving culture in the history of humanity. That always gets me excited. So projects like this are the ones that I get up in the morning for now. I get really excited about them. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you guys very much for having me on.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay. Next up, item number 2, Pasco Tourism Sports Coast, benefits of tourism and hotels. I'll pass it over to Adam.
Thank you, Mayor Hoover. I wanted to comment real fast. First of all, Adam Thomas, 8731 Citizens Drive, Newport Richey. I wanted to comment on the renderings and the design or the design concept of the parking structure, because it's one. I wanted to ask a question: what are the number of parking spots? Because there's a need throughout Pasco County along our waterfront, and that's parking, truck and trailer parking. So if you feel that need, you start creating demand in the marketplace, right? And you start creating demand, you start creating foot traffic and activity. So this opportunity opens up a huge door, not only for visitors, but residents alike, because there's a lot of foot traffic that already goes down to Catches. They go to the Whiskey Joe's, they go to Hooters. They used to go to Gill Dogs when Gill Dogs was there. So there's a lot of foot traffic already. So parking is definitely a need in our county, specifically on our waterfront. So this is a huge opportunity for us to start creating demand in the marketplace, for us to actually have a spot to where we can tell visitors to go for adequate truck and trailer parking, for experiences. Because at the end of the day, when you start creating demand, you have to think about your visitor experience. Is it at the all-time level, or are we just chipping at it just to get away, just to get by? This sets us apart. This is a unique selling proposition, and that's what we need, and that's what we look at for tourism. Unique selling propositions to where it can position Pasco for a brighter future, so we can keep drawing visitors into our market to create an economic impact. And that's what we're going to talk here today on how we're going to do that, or how we do that. So with me today, my team, I have my Deputy Director, Consuelo Sanchez, my Sales Manager, Gabby Lajeunesse, and my Marketing Manager, Raul Nardi's here, and he's going to walk through how we're positioning Pasco County and how we're talking to our visitors as it pertains to the experiences on our waterways. And afterwards, we have our lead analyst here from Downs and St. Germain, who does our visitor research study and our economic impact analysis. And he's going to walk us through the impact we create at the county level. And then we're going to go down to the community level at the Port Richey community level and show what the visitor economy does for Port Richey. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce Raul Nardi to walk through how we're marketing and how we're talking through some of our programs and our projects that are in the marketplace currently right now.
Yeah, right there. There we go. Yeah, he's got it. Shoot.
I forgot to add one thing. He focused on the land portion of that design. Didn't really touch the waterfront, right? I would ask, when he does start designing that waterfront, that he looks for my keys, my wallet, my glasses, still in the water over by Whiskey Joe's. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam, and good afternoon, everyone. So what our goal is today is to be able to just present kind of like the foundation of the economic impact and other information we're going to be presenting. So from a marketing perspective, this is how Florida Sports Coast has kind of packaged and showcased the destination Pasco County. So we are Florida Sports Coast. Here are a few of our spotlight advertising campaigns from last year. We did one with a vendor called Mobile Fuse. We did smart banner ads. These generated over 1.5 million impressions, and basically showcase different aspects or different elements of the destination. So you can see here scalloping on the right-hand side, and the lower side we have wakeboarding down at the lift. Continuing on, we did another advertisement campaign with Cortex. This was an interactive multimedia display. So these ads actually moved and had multimedia components. So the skydiving taking place at Skydive City, the actual picture creative moved along with the advertisement, so it made it very engaging, kind of made it stand out a little bit more. Moving on, we did some advertisement in WeConnect. So this is the Wi-Fi provider for these airlines here, which were American Airlines, JetBlue, and Breeze Airways, through inbound flights to Tampa from Orlando International Airport, West Palm Beach, Atlanta, and Fort Myers. So these this captive audience was served this advertisement and destination video in order to gain access to the free Wi-Fi. So it truly was a captive audience, and it generated over 10,000, almost 11,000 impressions. So very successful campaign. Moving on, we did a campaign with Hopper. Hopper is almost like a Groupon. It's a much more interactive version of Groupon, I'd say, where the advertisements or the offers for each destination are displayed in tiles, as you can see here on the phone display on the left-hand side. This generated over 1.4 million impressions. So again, another exciting campaign we did. Ran through quarter 3 and quarter 4 of last year, and it was a sponsored destination tile. So as the user of the application went onto the tile or onto the app, they clicked on the Florida Sports Coast destination, and there they had different promotions and things that they can do in destination. So we had fishing, we had charters, we had scalloping activities listed on there as well. So we had a lot of really great engagement with this placement as well. Moving on, we did a placement with West Orlando. This is a news station in Orlando, which is one of our target markets, local markets, in which we had a dedicated destination video showcasing the Lift Adventure Park and also Tree Hoppers Aerial Park. So we thought it would be nice to showcase both the west side of the county and the east side of the county, showcasing different things to do. So this also did very well during fourth quarter of last year. Finally, we just wanted to show an example of publications. So this is from Undiscovered Florida. It's an advertisement featuring our slogan, "Life's a Game." This specific one tags the dive in. So it's playing into the scalloping season, diving into the waters here in Pasco County to being able to harvest our beloved scallops, right? It's a lot of fun. We're trying to get the word out there that it's a family activity that draws in. It's very popular. So this is, again, just us showcasing that activity as well as other points of interest in this publication. Again, just wanted to showcase kind of the different things that we're offering here. We have fishing, scalloping once again, and just a deeper dive within, this example is for Newport Richey, but we're doing these dives all throughout the county. Our goal is to really showcase the best that Pasco County has to offer and really bring in those people to stay in our hotels. Lastly, these are just interactive banner ads. So the arrow icons that you see, those move around, and it really helps to kind of make these stand out a little bit more than your standard banner ads when you're visiting any websites. We also conduct tours, media tours throughout the county. They're called familiarization tours, or FAM for short. So this is a group of German tour operators. So they operate tour agencies in Germany. And so we host this group here, showcasing everything the county has to offer. Here you can see the guests were at Werner Boyce State Park, Salt Springs State Park, and they partook in a kayaking tour with Salty Dogs kayaks. They love that activity. We showed them around the Hacienda Hotel and did various activities as well. So this is just another way we're placing the destination in front of potential outlets to just get the word out there. So this was a very successful FAM tour or media tour, which will be taking place again in a couple of weeks. So we're excited that we're bringing another group of German tour operators to the destination the beginning of February. Any questions with any of the marketing materials?
Questions?
No, well, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Joe here.
I want to just add something before I hand the clicker over to Joe to kind of show you the economic impact that we generate throughout the county. But this is this campaign of Life is a Game, Play It Your Way just won a national award through HSMAI, and it's the Adrian Award, and we won a bronze award for this campaign. The Adrian Awards is the Oscars of destination marketing and tourism marketing. So this is our second time we've ever won an Adrian Award, and we were going to be going up to New York next month to receive that award. but this is the kind of activities and the kind of things that we do for the surrounding area. And this is why this partnership between our cities, Port Richey, Newport Richey, Zephyr Hills, Dade City, are so important to us because we can't do this alone, right? So we partner with Newport Richey, we partner with Dade City, partner with Zephyr Hills to tell that story. Our hotel on the water in Newport Richey will be that story. Okay, so Port Richey will be that story. So now I'm going to introduce our senior analyst. Yes.
Consuelo Sanchez, Deputy Director for Florida Sports Coast, 8731 Citizens Drive, Newport Richey, Florida. So one of the things that we want to highlight is that we're trying to actually tackle the international market. So with the new flights that are flying into the Tampa International Airport, we have great opportunities to actually bring people from Europe, from places like Germany. They spend more money and stay longer. Also, with the Bogota-Tampa flight with South America, we're actually going to go next month with Visit Florida, and we're going to start connecting with travel operators and wholesalers. People, especially from Colombia, I'm from Colombia, so I know a little bit about this. They know Florida just because of Orlando and Miami, not even Tampa. So they're trying to find hidden gems, and we consider that we're a hidden gem. We don't want to keep that as a hidden gem. We want to go there and promote. So places like a district, tourism district, are going to provide huge opportunities for us.
With that being said, Joel Walters.
First, as a Pasco County resident and as a former Port Richey resident, I love this idea. I think it's great. I wish I still lived on the coast and would have been able to access it more often. I definitely second Adam's point about induced demand. I think that when you build a ramp or the U-turn with the ramp and then a parking garage for the boats, I think you're going to have people coming down just to use that. It reminds me a lot, that sort of solving an efficiency problem with a parking garage reminds me a lot of what they did in St. Augustine. Next to St. George and Castillo San Marcos, they built that huge parking garage, solved the traffic problem, gave everyone a place to park. I mean, I've been going to St. Augustine for years, and the before and after of building that parking garage just solved so many headaches of visiting that area. So it reminds me a lot of what they did, and it looks great. I never would have thought that like a parking garage could be a center place, you know, where you kind of already are getting the feel for what you're about to see. That being said, let's talk about the value of tourism. Okay, so these numbers are for Pasco County as a whole. This is for fiscal year 25, from October 2024 to September 2025. And the point with kind of showing you these numbers is that if there were more tourist destinations, attractions, hotels in the Port Richey area, then Port Richey would receive more of a share of these numbers, a higher share of these numbers, while also increasing these numbers. So you can see here that in FY25, Florida Sports Coast attracted over 1.5 million visitors. We generated over 1.5 million room nights as well. And that's an 8.9% increase from FY24. I haven't presented this to the TDC yet, but you guys getting a little sneak peek. In FY25, over $1 billion of economic impact were generated for Florida Sports Coast, for Pasco County as a whole. And over $764 million of spending in the area, in Pasco County alone. And that's a 13.2% increase from FY24. So we're already seeing huge increases in the area. Spending to visitors to Florida Sports Coast generated or supported over 9,000 jobs in FY25. And again, just to kind of reiterate, what we're saying here is that the more tourism in Port Richey, the more of that is going to be in Port Richey, the more jobs going to be supported in the Port Richey area. Over $330 million in wages and salaries were supported by the tourism sector in fiscal year 25 for Pasco County. And every 165 visitors to Pasco County supported one job in the area. Now let's look at Port Richey in specifically. So what we've done here is you can see that we've broken out Port Richey from the rest of the visitors to Pasco County. So this is done with survey data, and so these are people that have said that they visited Port Richey while they were in Pasco County. Okay, it doesn't necessarily mean that they were staying in Port Richey, just that they visited Port Richey while they were in Pasco County. And we're comparing that to Florida Sports Coast as a whole, so all Pasco County visitors. You can see here that people that visited Port Richey were much more likely to come to the area for a vacation. Nearly half of Port Richey visitors come to the area for vacation. Visitors to Port Richey are also more likely to come here to visit friends and family. And that's really, we started with this slide because that's really the theme of data that we see when we break out Port Richey visitors from Pasco County visitors as a whole, is that people that are visiting Port Richey tend to be more likely to be coming to Pasco County as a destination. They're more likely to stay overnight. They're more likely to be here to vacation. They're not people that are just crossing a county border to go shopping or something like that. They're coming here to stay here.
How are you getting those numbers? I mean, I see the company, but how do they get those numbers?
Yeah, so we do intercept surveys. So we survey visitors across the county, and so these come from those intercept surveys.
How do you find them?
How do we
find them?
How do we find visitors? We go to where the visitors are. So we're in different areas up and down the coast, and we are in where visitors are in the middle of the county, just wherever we know that visitors are going to be, we try to have our intercepts there throughout the year.
And so obviously this we say Port Richey, it's not just Port Richey, but the entire zip code Port Richey, I'm assuming. And I'm assuming some of these answers to surveys, maybe New Port Richey is bleeding over into this and vice versa. So
that's a great question. So the answer to that is what people consider Port Richey. Right. We are asking them, which of these areas did you visit while visiting Pasco County? And they are saying Port Richey. New Port Richey is a separate answer. Both are listed there. Both are within the top destinations visited in Pasco County. But yeah, the answer to that is it probably is more than the city because it is just a survey response. People are doing that themselves.
Or in this survey.
Right. Yeah.
How many people? Is this a 1,000-person survey? Is this a 500-person?
Yeah, great question. So over the fiscal year 25, I want to say it's about 2,000 surveys. And that puts us at a margin of error of about 5%. So it's a normal for this population.
Thank you.
Were there any questions that related to what they were doing in Port Richey if they were here on vacation? If they're already coming here for vacation, I'm curious what they're doing.
For sure. We've got a few more slides to show you.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I bet they visited Walmart.
Yeah, no, I'm saying.
When you're talking about answering the questions for the different things, there's a lot of different ways that we're mining data, if you will, and Adam can speak to this as well as I can, being retired now. We know exactly what you're doing and what you're spending pretty much any time of any day based on your zip code. So we pretty much know what you're doing, where you're going, where you're traveling. We also have Smith Travel Research, which also tells us what you're doing and what you're spending when you're staying at a hotel, and we know how full your hotels are. So there's a whole lot of ways that we're mining data that we're marketing to you on the sly. I mean, it's stuff that's out there for us to get, and we can mine that. But he's the new expert. I'm the old kid.
I'm not an expert. So to add on to the mining, we partner with Zardico, who does cell phone tracking data, and there are points of interests in that. Port Richey has multiple points of interest in its city or unincorporated city. So if you are 50 miles and beyond, and you enter that polygon of a point, cell phone data gets picked up, your IP address gets picked up, and now you're trackable. So now you're trackable in that points of interest, and we can see where you're spending money on credit card data, and then we can see on the other points of interest that you go throughout the destination while you're here, and then we also see you leave as well. So face-to-face intercepts is one, emails is another. We also get research secondary, and our primary research is through Downs and St. Germain and Zardico, and the STAR report, the Smith Travel Report as well for hotel data. We also do key data for vacation rentals as well. So we're getting vacation rental data in. There's a plethora of primary and secondary research that we use to drive decisions, and this is just a portion of that data.
So cell phone providers and credit card
Yes, ma'am.
companies are selling you that information or giving it?
No, we're not selling. We're not buying that information. We're as a database of collective information that we're using.
Wow. That's why you got the award. Congratulations.
You still can't find it in Adam's keys.
Nope.
And so while this visitor tracking data is survey research, the numbers I just presented, the economic impact numbers, those use STAR, they use key data, and then we also use InPlan to model those economic impact figures. Okay, so they're here to vacation, and you can see that they're also much more likely to fly to the destination than to drive. So you can see that 42% are flying into Tampa International Airport. Again, that just kind of reinforces that they're here to stay a while. They're not just driving over the border. You can see that while 58% of Pasco County visitors come from Florida, the spread of people that are visiting Port Richey is much greater. So there's a higher share of visitors from the Southeast, the Northeast, the Midwest, and the West regions of the country. If you have any questions or need me to slow down, just let me know. Travel party, over 3 and 4 Port Richey visitors are traveling in a party of 2. That's just kind of showing another data point, which is that the people that are traveling to Port Richey seem to be, as of right now, older couples, rather than where in like the central part of the county we see more family visitors. Port Richey visitors are less likely to travel with children than all of Sports Coast visitors, like we just said. 77% of Port Richey visitors are over 50 years old compared to 57% of all Sports Coast visitors. Destination familiarity. This is pretty interesting, and it really just enforces that first point. So we see fewer first-time visitors, but also fewer 11 plus times visitors. Again, these are not people that just happen to live in Hernando or in Hillsborough County that are crossing the border. These are people that are coming here and staying here, and they've done so between 2 and 10 times.
Excuse me, again, I'm wondering what they're doing while they're here. We don't really have much to offer at the moment, so to hear that people are coming here repeatedly for vacations, what are they doing, since you can track that?
Yeah, so we're going to see that they do a lot of activities. Let me see if it's like the next slide. Oh, we do have an activity slide. But another thing that they're doing, and again, this is on the activity slide as well, is visiting friends and family. That's one of the most popular activities. Visitor length of stay, you can see that over 9 and 10 Port Richey visitors stay in Pasco overnight. That's a huge difference from Pasco County as a whole. And over half of Port Richey visitors stay in the county for 6 nights or more. Again, you can see that difference between the Pasco County visitor and the Port Richey visitor.
That's important because we don't have hotels.
Yeah, they would.
Numbers would change drastically.
Again, just kind of aligning with that overnight, you can see that they're more likely to stay in hotels. They're more likely to stay with friends and family. And that's just because they're also more likely to stay overnight. Daily travel party spending. Here you can see that, again, this includes people staying in paid accommodations, people staying with friends and family, and people that are just visiting for the day. That's why the accommodations spending for Port Richey is so much higher, because they're so much more likely to stay overnight. But you can see that they also spend more on restaurants and entertainment than Pasco County visitors as a whole. People that visit Port Richey are more likely to spend more money on entertainment and restaurants. While they're in the area, they're using social media, they're using navigation, and they're using Florida Sports Coast more often than Pasco County visitors as a whole. So they're looking for things to do, is what we'd say. And then here are those visitor activities. So you can see that when compared to Pasco County as a whole, they're more likely to be dining. These are people that are saying that they have visited Port Richey as part of their trip. They're more likely to have been at restaurants, been shopping, been at nature's, visiting parks, and visiting friends and family. And you can see one of the biggest differences there is on attractions. 85% of Port Richey visitors are visiting some sort of attraction in Pasco County, and 35% of Pasco County visitors as a whole. We ask survey respondents what they want more of in the county, desired additional activities, and you can see that people that visit Pasco County and people that visit Port Richey want more restaurants, they want more shopping options, and you can see that family-friendly activities is not as important to Port Richey visitors as Pasco County visitors as a whole, but still very important.
I do want to point out that the hotel motel very, very low, 1%. Evidently, right? Is that what I'm saying? Sitting here?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Less hotel, more for restaurants, shopping, and family fun type things, festivals.
And Mayor, if you think about that, it makes sense, because if you're going to have a lot of sports tourism, which is what we rely on a lot here, it's going to be the 2 queens with 6 kids in that room.
Mm-hmm.
And then out here on this side, they're going to want better accommodations, which is why we need to go a little more hoity-toity, if you will, when we put hotels on this side. And there's a demand for it. They're going to stay longer. They're going to spend more.
Everyone that we ask is staying somewhere. So they have a kind of a place to stay already. They don't know that they want those additional options until they see them. Any other questions?
How are the visitors introduced to the Sports Coast app?
The airport, I think, is if you.
The app? It's our website. We drive them to our website, if not our social media pages.
Don't you guys, when you get in the airport, don't you get some signage too that can direct?
We have been in talks with the airport. It's pretty expensive to have advertisement in the airport. I mean, we're talking 6 digits per month.
I was thinking I saw some stuff for Sports Coast. Maybe I did.
You probably saw some. So when we have major events coming in on the sports side, we do throw up banners and welcome people that are coming in from TPA. So I just want to thank you again for the conversation. I know this is the first step to something greater and something bigger, and I know that the conversations happen a lot longer than I've been here. I've been here for 9 years, but I've always said in 30 years you're an overnight success. So hopefully we're at closer to that 30-year mark, and we're going to be an overnight success and again drive that visitor demand.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Council, for Adam?
No, thank you.
I do have one signed up. Lori, did you want to speak on this topic?
Yeah, I had a question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I'm the only person that doesn't know this, but Lori Simpson, 5006 Sunset Boulevard. But I don't understand that. What's the difference between Sports Coast and Nature Coast? If anybody can explain that.
Thank you. So, quick answer: the Nature Coast is comprised of 6 or 7 counties.
8, I think. Is it 8?
Is it 8? Okay, so 8 counties. We wanted to separate ourselves and really take ownership of what our product is, and our product is sports. It's nature, but it's sports, and nature involves, or it's encompassing in the sports, because our leisure activities, even though they are sports, they're out in nature. So our sports coast is what our truly makes us who we are.
Do you market to all of them? Go ahead.
Are they one and the same?
No, ma'am. So they're two separate entities. Even Hernando County is the Adventure Coast.
All of the cities within the sports coast, is Port Richey the only one not actively participating with you at this moment?
Well, that's a tricky question because we're partnering with everyone. Yeah.
And we have not.
Yeah.
There's a couple sports that we have tried to introduce as very difficult. One is a fishing tournament, which is a sport.
Yeah.
And it would be very popular. Of course, you need the boat ramp with parking, and you need a hotel, and you need secure parking. So that's something we would like to work on, but that would be very valuable to as far as a sport for the coast, for the county.
So far, we're the only city in.
No, we're partnering on the activities. So any activity that's around in our marketing efforts, there's verbiage in our marketing that incorporates the cities. So it's not necessary. We're not pushing out Newport Richey or Port Richey or Zephyr Hills or Dade City. We're pushing out the activities within those communities that the city gets highlighted regardless. So in our marketing efforts, in our language, and when we're speaking to them, we're talking about Port Richey, we're talking about Newport Richey, we're talking about Dade City and Zephyr Hills. But it's focused on the activities within those communities, if that makes sense. So you see the scalloping, you see the fishing, you see the biking, the hiking, name the activity. That's the forefront of the ad. But when we're talking to them in the captions, in our taglines, or in our verbiage on our marketing efforts, the description is about the area.
Yeah, and depending on what the activity is, you send them to different places, obviously.
Correct. And then on our website, you guys are on our website as well. So when visitors are clicking to the website, they're landing on our website, and then they're searching through our communities.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so with the research you do, what you need from Port Richey is actually a hotel. You find that Port Richey is the spot for a hotel to make this work better.
Yes. So you guys are on the water.
Mm-hmm.
We need more hotels on our water to drive visitor demand.
Mm-hmm.
We have beautiful estuaries, but we have to get to them.
Mm-hmm.
So we need truck and trailer parking, and we need a hotel that we can partner with, but outside of the hacienda, to drive visitor demand. So we need more hotels on the water.
So everything we saw today is what you need.
Yes,
And
that's
you see Port Richey is the place to provide it, the best.
Port Richey and throughout the entire 23 miles of coastline.
Gotcha.
I've talked to several businesses and other owners in businesses in Pasco County, and anytime they see somebody in Port Richey, oh, what are we doing over there? They want to know what's going on here. Saddlebrook would love for us to have some kind of activity resort and develop this area, because that would help them, as well as Zephyr Hills and Dade City and everybody else, because when they come to Florida, they want to enjoy the coastline. Whether it's a day or 2 days, that's part of their vacation here.
And you think about the guides that pick up and drop off their clients at Nick's Park. I mean, think about picking up a client at Nick's Park with looking like that design. I mean, now you're hitting on the visitor experience, right? People are going to come happy and they're going to leave happy because of the surrounding areas.
Other questions?
No, we're still limited on our land though.
Yeah.
What do we have, 2.6 square miles? I mean, we can want a lot, but we also have to have some place to put it in.
And the city is not building a hotel, but there are people that do want to. And of course, the next stage is the form-based zoning that is part of the incentive, which, well, a lot of the incentives we're creating now, that's like icing on the cake to help bring the hotel here and to get the money that they need to be successful here as well as anybody else in the district.
These are all great ideas. It's just, but you still got the logistics of
Right.
it's 2.6 square miles. So you got to make that work to the best advantage all the way around.
Yep.
Not just for one thing, for all of it.
That's where the form-based zoning.
That's where you need the smart people for the designing and the promoting and right. But it still comes down to we got this much area to work with.
Well, so what, I guess the question is if, because city don't build hotels, obviously. So why is Marriott or Hilton not came in and purchased some of this property for sale and build a hotel? Now, obviously, we have probably some density issues that would prevent that. But outside of that, I guess why are they not knocking the door down to build a hotel? Because they're the ones that would build it.
It's a great question. I have to ask the developers.
Yeah.
Well, really,
it comes down to folks who are willing to put their money where their mouth is, bring their money to the city, and take chances. And we have a group of people who have already done that right now. They've bought property, they've cleared property, and they've got a vision, or that vision's changing as we go, which quite often happens in development. Mm-hmm. I see this taking off and getting legs, but we got to get something down there. Right now, we don't. We have collapsing, closing stuff, and we need stuff to start going the other way.
Correct.
Yeah. So honestly, and that's been, it's obvious. You got to have something to come and stay for, right? Which is probably why we haven't seen many large hotel in the area because we have the water and whatnot, but people that are coming in, they're if they're driving in, they may bring their boat down from somewhere or whatever, or somewhere in the county, but they're not flying in with a boat, right? So they're renting it. That's why the rental business obviously is good. So I don't, I think once some things start to happen down there, which they are, then I think you'll see more of that demand, and somebody might step up and actually want to put something in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
we'll get into that in a little bit with the form-based zoning. And that will answer your question probably.
We have some large plots of land down there that
you do,
with cooperation from local business owners that own that land. You may be able to develop a substantial portion of that.
Yes, sir.
And we do have some money right now, like I said, that's coming in there that they put their money where their mouth is, and they're starting to do stuff. So I would love to see not only things like this here, take legs and run, but also, some additional money start to come in to say, hey, I see the vision as well. The scalloping, that's awesome. The fishing, that's awesome. We did do a fishing tournament recently, and that was a success. It was a lot of fun. Everybody came out. There was winners, and they all had a great time. So there is lots of opportunity to do that. We just have to get some people that see the vision or one developer who gets the fire started.
Yep.
When that fire gets started, then all of a sudden you have more people. Hey, that place is developing. Even right now with the land clearing, where our radars are all going up, we're like, hey, what's going on over there? Is this going to change? Are we getting away from trailers and old septic tanks down to having something that we could actually build something on? So it is happening. I'm excited that we're doing this today, and I'm thankful, Bob, that you brought folks in and helped it all
There
out.
are hotel execs looking right now at what I've talked to a couple of them. They're done. I'm not done. Well, what's your plan?
Well, I mean, at this point here, it would be the opportunity for them to partner with local businesses that are interested in either selling their properties, partner with hotels, whatever it may be,
right?
And then come to us and say, hey, by the way, we can't fit 10 widgets into this 4-widget zoning thing here. We need you to make this adjustment or something. And that's where we come in.
That's what exactly happened with the developers that did invest, right? They came to the city with some ask. We looked at it and we made some adjustments, and they were able to purchase that land and do that. So I mean, obviously, that's always the process. I can tell you, outside of a 5-acre parcel, our density is very anemic. Down the Waterfront, only just at 15 units per acre, which you can't build a hotel with 15 units per acre. So, if that's something that we as a council want to look at in the community, we want to incentivize that, and we're going to make some changes. Or they have to buy a large parcel of land to be able to unlock the additional density that we have. So,
well, that's the key thing that we're doing, that's extremely important. It's the incentives, and we need to incentivize the current developer, future developers, and it needs to be equally but uniquely because everybody's different. It could be offices above a retail space, or it could be condos above a retail space.
Meeting space.
And you're protecting them because they know that they look exactly the same outside. They're very inviting, but it's going to create their project a lot of value in it if they're unique and they're the same. They know they're not going to have storage sheds next to them, not going to have a fast food drive-through or a car wash or anything like that. It's going to be retail specific and it's going to be design specific. And hotels, the only reason he's here, the main reason, because tourism and hotel is the key to the development down there. Whether it's one or it's two or it's three, depending, virtually any property on the river, commercial property, should be a part of this. But if that's what they're looking for, they don't see any plan. They don't know, why do they have to come up? That's a lot of expense, a lot of redesigning codes and trying to figure out codes. If you have the codes installed, they know what's going to be shiplap or shake, or you have the option of both, what type of roof it is, the color. Oh, that makes it simple for them. And they're going to want to be a part of that. So anyway, that's the importance is hotel is the key to the development of the waterfront and to bring in a lot of revenue, and the tax revenue from tourism is very important.
Yep. Great. You guys have numbers on occupancy rates for the existing hotels in the area, like we take Newport Richey with the Hacienda. There's I think a Hampton up the road here, a Days Inn, some of the larger chain hotels that are around. I know we don't have one specifically right here, Port Richey, but within 3 miles we have several.
When we get our STAR report and we get our market report from Smith Travel, it's for the entire 52 properties in the entire county. So we can call directly and see if we can get the data from some of the hotels that you're referring to. There are
See are they 50% utilized? Are they 100%? Obviously if it's always full,
year 2025
need more, right? But if it's not full,
okay.
And we're not being pessimistic.
Nope.
None of us. We're being realistic.
Yep.
And like you said, some things take 30 years. Well, sometimes things take 40 years because it just all depends on whether anything gets done or not.
Right.
And if we do it, we want to do it right.
Correct.
We want to move forward, but we have to be realistic and we have to be in a position to be able to do those things.
and one thing too is as a resident, a hotel, unless my family comes in and needs a place to stay close by, a hotel does really nothing for me unless that hotel offers, on the lower level has some shops, retail, whatever.
Right, some amenities.
For the purpose of hotel, it doesn't really do anything from a resident perspective, right? And, as we talk about growing and all that, I think first and foremost, we need to take care of our residents and have things to do that, we can leave our house, come downtown and eat and do things. And obviously we want to share that with the world. So as that grows, we start to have a vibrant waterfront, then we need a hotel probably somewhere around there so people can come in and enjoy that as well. But first and foremost, we need to take care of our own.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can tell you a hotel properly designed and built with commercial on the bottom, meeting rooms, things that people can come to have meetings and those things, that would go over well. And my family would stay in a local hotel. They'd come to visit me and I'd say, hey, you're not staying in my house, you're staying down at the hotel.
Right.
And let them stay down there. But it would have to have a combination of retail and it would have to have also
Got to have the amenities.
meeting rooms.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you could bring in, groups of people, training, whatever it may be.
Absolutely.
So that's important. And so I understand what the mayor's saying about just a hotel. Dropping a Hampton Inn right there, is not quite the answer. We have to have a theme behind this, something that ties into the community.
Absolutely. It's
something
into the fabric.
Draw.
The old hotels had restaurants.
What's the draw?
Well, as Consuelo was saying earlier, Colombia or South America, we target Europe now. Paradise Marketing, I want to talk a little bit about that, but they target people in Europe go on vacation for a month. And like she said, they love Orlando, Miami. They're a week, maybe 2 weeks in Orlando. What is the other hotspots here?
Yep.
Well, they would be marketing Port Richey very successfully, and you'd have a European market, obviously staying for a few days or whatever in Port Richey to enjoy the coastline, take a boat ride to the island, go fishing, enjoy the parks, maybe for a wedding. But I've married people on the island from 32 different countries.
So our rate
From outside this country to this area.
Mm-hmm. Our rate for 2025 was 64% occupancy. That's up 9.5% year over year from 2024. And our average daily rate for 2025 was around $134 a night. And that's up almost 11.5% year over year.
And that's Pasco wide?
That's Pasco wide. Yes, sir.
So Pasco wide is basically a third empty in the hotels we have, roughly, right? You see 64%?
Yeah, 64%, but usually the hotels, depending on where they're at, we have the corridor of the Suncoast and 54. Those hotels are 98% booked throughout the year. So there's hotels that are operating really high, and there's so the average, it balances out.
I mean, there's a big difference between a hotel that's stuck in an old neighborhood somewhere surrounded by trailer parks and a hotel that's right on the water that is,
correct.
Got the Gulf of America as our view,
Correct.
Yeah, no, I think if there's a hotel on the water, that's going to be one of the more popular ones for sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep.
So we're all for that. We've got some business owners in the audience here right now. Their ears are tweaked and they're listening. We just need somebody with a checkbook to step forward and say, hey, we're willing to jump in with our money and start to make these things happen. So far, we only have one player doing that.
We also want to mention something like we're constantly attending group sales conferences, people trying to come here for corporate association. Higher income because they don't pay out of pocket. It's basically professionals coming into the area, and there's something in the tourism segment called leisure, which is business, but you extend your trip so you can be here. So a waterfront property is something that people are always looking for, especially coming from other places or states in this time of the year. And having that with enough space to accommodate meetings and groups, that would be wonderful.
It's another need that we have throughout the county is meeting space.
Which is we have quite a bit of it down there, but they would have to partner with these other business owners somehow.
Correct.
Or buy them out or whatever they may do, to create that meeting space, restaurant space, sleeping space, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Any other questions? Any other public comment? Thanks, Adam.
Thank you, sir.
And we'll be working with it.
You all have that same study.
Mike, if I get you coming to the podium, sorry.
Yep, sorry.
Just so everybody can hear.
Just wondering, Mike Lowe, Catches, 7811 Bayview. Just wondering if they have that same study with other cities that are close to us, like Newport Richey, just to see how our data compares.
Yeah.
Right?
We can extrapolate that and do a comparison.
Yeah.
Sir.
And I've looked at a STAR report for, this immediate area, and the occupancy rate is much higher than the countywide rate. So to the point of, waterfront and whatnot, obviously that's a bigger draw, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
thank you.
And honestly, and Adam, I don't know if you know about the hotel in Newport Richey that's getting ready to be built. I know that's going to be a major chain there, Aqua Harbors. Do you know anything about that? I know Chopper's here.
The one in front of Gulf Harbors?
Yeah.
I'm going to refer to the mayor of Newport Richey.
It's coming slowly.
Yeah. Do you know what the chain is, or is that okay?
I don't think a flag has been.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's residential and
96 hotels.
okay.
The last time I talked to her, she said Marriott, but it could have changed, so.
96 rooms, Chuck?
96 rooms, not hotels.
But they won't have meeting space. They
Correct.
can't make money off meeting space.
And that's not Port Richey.
Yeah,
That's Newport Richey. That's different.
If you're going to speak and you come to the thing, he just basically says they're not going to have meeting space there. So.
Right. So when you're looking at developing an area, I think the idea that you guys had earlier was really good to have parking, which is needed everywhere along here, and then also to develop out some meeting space so that a developer doesn't have to come in and build something that they won't use all the time. That's the key. If you can remove something off of the table to spend good taxpayer dollars on, you guys are going to get reimbursed for it, like a parking garage, paid parking, right? And then a meeting space that people could come, and then Adam and his team could market. It'd be awesome. It'd be an awesome combination. It'd be a win-win. But they're also going to want to look at, as they're talking about, how you guys are developing the whole waterfront. Okay, so keep that all in mind as you do this. Form-based marketing or form-based zoning is great, because when a developer comes in, he says, well, I know that everything down here is going to look this way. Okay, it's consistency, it's destination management, and then your destination marketers can take off and market the destination. So keep that in mind. You guys are talking about all the right stuff. Just you got to decide where you're going to put your eggs. But you've been given a couple gifts here today with what they're telling you. So you guys just got to decide how you can share it with your, constituents.
Mr. Mayor, I'll leave you with one thought of what we're working on to drive demand. And I believe we talked about this up in Tallahassee, and I wanted to make it public here because it was a presentation to the TDC board last year, and it's something that's going to support our destination development strategy that the Board of County Commissioners implemented in 2024, and it's a 10-year strategy. One of them is to focus on our leisure activities and our leisure product on the waterfront, right? And so what we're working on is an artificial reef program that will provide better water quality, better fishing, and also sustainability for hurricanes, for storm surge. So we are working on that right now. It's a passion project of Commissioner Mariano's, and we are working to see that come to fruition hopefully in the next few years. Obviously, money is a big factor when it comes to stuff like this, so we are looking at that right now. But again, to drive visitor demand, we're trying to create that need in artificial reef. We have, again, 23 miles of coastline, and we're going to try to develop it to try to increase the visitor experience. So an artificial reef program is something that we are heavily looking into.
Yeah, I'd say we are 100% for that for sure. Anything we do to improve our water quality, definitely need. So, other questions?
Thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Adam.
Next up, item number 3, Pasco Program Director Richard Jenkins on form zoning. It says firm zoning in here, but I think it's form.
Well, that's form. I'm sorry.
So, Rich Jenkins, 8731 Citizens Drive. I'm with Pasco County Planning Development and Office of Economic Growth. We had some technical issues here, and so my little slideshow won't show up here, I don't think. It might not show at all, and if that's the case, I'll just...
To us on a flash drive, so he's going to have to go ahead and present it from here.
Yeah.
So,
You want to email?
We tried that, and I think it might have been too large.
I mean, we can just come down. We can sit right down there and watch if that's what it is. Do we?
We could probably see if you guys want to...
I can't see.
Well, in the audience wants to
You
say.
guys can sit over here.
Yeah. We'll just come over there.
Yeah. Wait, the audience see it as well.
All right. So, and I'm going to stand right in front of the screen so that I mess it up for everybody. I don't know which side I should probably be on. Let's see here. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is the very basics. When you're deciding to build out this waterfront district, you're going to have to assemble or you're going to have to acquire and assemble a lot of properties. You've got a lot of smaller lots down here that you're going to have to put together. Either you as a city will put them together or a developer will put them together. So when you do that, you're going to do some very basic things. Obviously, you're going to get a contract for sale. You're going to ask for surveys. You're going to ask for appraisals. You're going to ask for title searches. But one thing that's really, really important that people don't always think of unless you're really in the business, and that is you're going to need a phase 1 environmental search. That phase 1 environmental search does several things for you. Number one, it tells you how that property has been used. And what's important about that, like with your title search, that tells you that, maybe Mayor Hoover sold me a property and then I turned around and I sold it to Bob, and then and we all paid our mortgages and we all paid our taxes and everything is fine. However, what it doesn't say is that maybe Mayor Hoover used it as a motorcycle repair shop for 30 years, and then Bob used it as a marina for another 10 years, and then I bought it and I used it as, a clothing store. That's very, very important information to have, because that will then inform whether or not there's any latent issues with that property. The latent issues in particular, EPA calls them brownfields. Brownfields sounds like a scary word, but in reality, it's really not. What it is it's just saying that there is a possibility that there's something going on there, not that there's a probability. And that's really important as well. Brownfields they can come in any form, and they can come on any property. You can have industrials, commercial, manufacturing, old junkyards, even vacant lots and gas stations. What is important about this is that as you're looking at these different properties, they could all have any number of issues that aren't necessarily visible. So we do the phase one that tells us, you guys know why redevelopment matters. I'm going to kind of brings, if you're redeveloping, it's obviously going to bring some public benefit back. It's going to utilize an existing infrastructure. There's likely to be roadways already established. There's likely to be sewer lines, electrical power, that type of thing, already servicing a property that has been developed before. Oops, I went too far. Okay, the phase one assessment. So they review all of the same records that a title search would review, but then they go even more in depth. We might look at old insurance documents. They may, obviously they're going to look at all the government databases. If you have a fuel spill, that actually gets logged at the state of Florida, and they know, oh, we lost 200 gallons of diesel there in 1989. And so, ding, that's something that we need to look at, because maybe it was cleaned up, maybe the cleanup efforts didn't do a good enough job. So that's, and then when we get to our phase two, the phase two is directed by that phase one. The phase two report does actual physical testing. They go out and they do core samples. They may do water samples. In some cases, we've done vapor samples. So, again, really crucial information, and I'm going to get to a piece of it that's really important for you guys as a city. Let me go back a slide or two. Whoops, wrong way. So, a sentence that I left off on here, the reason why you want to do these phase ones is that it buys you some protection. EPA came out with a rule in 2001, I believe it was. It's called the All Appropriate Inquiries Rule. What it does is it will hold you harmless as a buyer, whether you're the city or just Rich Jenkins buying a piece of property. If you do all appropriate inquiries, including an environmental search. So then you buy this property, and all of a sudden you find out that as you're going to develop it, that maybe you've got an underground storage tank. It's going to cost you several $100,000 to take that tank out and remediate this issue. Well, ordinarily you would think, oh, well, you bought it, it's yours. However, if you have done these reports, you are now held harmless, and you can go to EPA, and EPA has a fund, a grant fund that we can use to clean up that property. Now it's no longer your issue. And but if you don't do these phase ones ahead of time, you bought it, you're paying for it. And it can make or break, especially a large project like you guys are talking about. So as you're assembling these properties or helping to assemble them, make sure to use this. Pasco County has a grant right now. It sunsets in October of this year that will pay for these reports. A phase one report runs on an average parcel, runs around $5,000, $6,000. The larger and the more complex the property, the more it costs, but the average right now is running about $5,000. Phase twos start at around $50,000. So it's extremely valuable to have this done. Also for my property owners, if you're trying to market your property, if you have these already done and in place, that's something that can be extremely valuable from a marketing standpoint, because now your buyer doesn't have to spend upwards of $50,000, $60,000 before he even gets started. So so far we have done 14 phase ones under our current grant. Of those 14 phase ones, 4 of them have become phase twos. And this is the part that I like the best. None of my phase twos have shown up with any major issues. There's been some de minimis stuff, but nothing that required any kind of cleanup. So that's actually a kind of surprising and positive. This might be hard to see on the screen here, but there's little green stars, especially over here on the West Coast. Those are where those properties are located that we've done the reports. And I wanted to show you really quickly, this is a former dry cleaners. It was a dry cleaning plant over on US 41 in Land O'Lakes. It backed up to a lake. It backed up to a rail line. Before it was a dry cleaner, it was a propane substation. They would bring giant propane tanks in on the rail cars and then move the propane into a larger propane tank right there on site. I was certain this was going to end up as a cleanup. As it turns out, it was a very well-run dry cleaner, and the propane had no effect on the property either. So, but it certainly looked ugly. This is an old warehouse and storage facility. It's actually here in the city of Port Richey. It's over here behind Home Depot. It's another one that we did both a phase 1 and a phase 2 on. This is one of our newer projects. It's a auto repair shop that has changed hands. It's here in Port Richey it's close to the intersection of 19 and Ridge Road. It's on Ridge Road though. This is a print shop that was, it's also over on 41. And again, it was one of those, I'm thinking with print shops, you're thinking, chemicals and dyes and, that type of thing. Turned out it was actually pretty well run. And then, this is just some stuff that I'm going to be doing over the next little bit. We have 2 more public engagement events that we have scheduled for the county to talk about brownfields. One of them is in Zephyr Hills, one of them's in Land O'Lakes, and we're continuing to look for phase 1s and phase 2 opportunities to spend this grant money down because it does sunset in October. So now is a perfect time for you guys as a city and also for your property owners to take advantage of this. So I think that is it. So I know that Bob wanted to talk about form-based design. And form-based code. I work with a bunch of planners at Pasco County. They're the experts on it. I am not. I probably know enough to at least smile and nod during a conversation, but I don't know all of it. What's interesting about the form-based code, I can tell you, is that if you decide that you want, instead of a 6-foot wide sidewalk, that you want everything in your district to be 8-foot wide sidewalks, you can do that. You set it up ahead of time. If you want matching street lights, even if you're not putting them in as a city, you can have your developer, he knows, I'm going to have to put in street lights and they're going to be this type. That way everything matches, everything is complete. And that, of course, adds to your appeal for the area. I think beyond that, I think I would defer to some of the other experts when it comes to form-based.
Do we have somebody that wasn't able to make it today that was an expert?
We do. We actually have a couple of people. The county is working on implementing some form-based code along Grand Boulevard so that it intersects better with the city of Newport Richey, starting at about Cecilia and running out to 54. We want it to kind of match what they've already started. And so we have people working on it right now, and they would be happy to come here. They didn't have enough time. They didn't feel like to put together a real presentation for you, but they did say that they'd be happy to come at a different time. Anybody else?
For Rich? No? Public comment?
Here we go.
One place that he didn't mention where there's environmental checking of property that you buy is schools. We just bought the Sweatman Educational Center, and we did an environmental check, and it happened to have a oil tank that had been in the ground there for who knows how many years, but it was taken out in 87 or 88. And so it became a situation where we're going to the state, and they're going to come in and then clean it up for us and not costing us anything. So the importance of that environmental check of the properties that you buy assessed. Go ahead and do that.
How much would that cost the property owner if they didn't do that?
It's not the property owner, it's time and when it went out. Oh, you know, we just, I'm saying due diligence, that's my point.
You still have grant money available for phase 1 and phase 2, Rich?
Yes, sir. We had, our grant was for $500,000. We have spent it down now to, I have about 127,000 still available. So, like I say, I'm trying to spend it down. I've got a few months left to do it. I would like to do it here because I really believe in this waterfront district and what you guys are trying to accomplish.
What does that phase 1 cost?
It depends on the size of the property and the complexity.
Okay.
However, the average right now is running about $5,000.
Phase 1 is a visual walkover.
Right. They do a visual walkover. Identify things like with our dry cleaner. One of the big concerns was there was a big drain in the center of the dry cleaning plant, and we knew from the walk around that there was an old septic tank there as well. I was certain we were going to find all kinds of dry cleaning chemicals in that septic tank. We cored that septic tank twice.
Okay.
Had no issues.
You just did this on the Gildo property, didn't you? They had a brownfield on the old Gildo property, didn't they?
They didn't do it through our office.
Their own phase 1, I think.
Yeah, I did speak with the developer about it, but I think he had already completed his environmental work.
Any other questions?
Thanks, Rich.
Certainly.
Before I have some other people talk, the forum based zoning, you can look at a lot of things on YouTube, a lot of studies on it. There's a lot of things for you guys to look at to get ideas and how it works and how different communities benefits. Some of the examples is like Rosemary Beach and the Panhandle. It's beautiful. It's like a colonial Bermuda type district, and that's all they allow there. And they got fountains and walk-arounds, and it's beautiful. And people look at it and they say they got to stop there. So it draws traffic just on its appearance. That's one section. Another section of Rosemary Beach is like Santini, Greece. So it kind of adheres to a lot of people. St. Augustine is another one. Newport Richey has done the same thing. Tarpon Springs. There's several in Orlando. Now, one part of Orlando may appear like one district. Another part goes around this park. It's a city park. And the outside of the park looks like the inside of the park with special signs and everything that match the park. So it's right in the middle of the city too, but it doesn't feel like you're in the middle of the city. It feels like you're in like Pennsylvania in the country or something, the way it appears. What I'm saying, the important thing is this is what a lot of developers looking for. They're looking for a consistency. They're looking for security. The current business owners down there, property owners, the current developer and future developers, this is a big incentive for them. It creates it makes it very simple, very affordable, developed architecture. They don't have to go through all the codes, the big code books. They have a small book for that district. This is what we want. They're going to want to be a part of that. So it simplifies the process. And it creates security, knowing that if someone builds a specific building there with a certain appearance, that the neighbor's going to do the same thing, which instills value in that project. And of course, the neighbor's going to want to do the same because he's going to have the same kind of value. Paul LaFrance image there. That's the first time I saw it, but I also saw an image where he had shiplap that matches our signs, or shake. You can take that parking garage and click on it, you got a shake siding. It's a completely different appearance. And you can change it a lot of different ways. That's kind of what we need for people to see when they're going down 19. They look at that and say, we need to check that out. I want everybody to go by that district and look at it. They want to check that out. And like I said, it instills value. Temple Terrace, if you've ever been out on 56th Street, it's like a dead zone. Some of the shopping centers, the malls, they're closing down. There's nothing out there. Temple Terrace just form zone that whole district. They're putting in like a New Orleans type colonial structures in there only. That's going to create a lot of pedestrian traffic and more traffic downtown. That'll vitalize that whole area. So we have a district right now, as I said, that should be tourism bound. Form zoning that will create that. And the builders and developers and the current property owners, this is what they want. This is what they've been waiting for. Direction from the city to make it easy for development. It's going to create a lot more commerce. Once someone starts a hotel down there and once they start building this, everybody's going to want to be a part of it. Don, you familiar with form-based zoning?
Yes. One of the big things that I've been looking at, though, is we discussed this, is like Councilman Hubbard, is one, having that vision that we need in order to develop the community that we want. I think right now we're kind of in a spot where we really don't know. We have an idea, but we really don't know what we want. So it's kind of hard to move in that direction without, where I feel that we might make mistakes here and there, because we got to get it right, especially when, like Councilman Hubbard said, with the zoning piece and getting that right up front and working with developers so that, like you said, they want to come, because that's going to be the big thing. What they want is they want predictability. They want, I won't say affordability, but they want a community that they come into that they know is going to be a long-term investment for them. So it's not like, hey, hotel, they're going to come up, they're going to stay until they can't make any more and they leave. What we want is for them to come in with the mindset, hey, I'm coming here to improve the community, and what can I do as I build my place based on how we allow it to be zoned, how we bring that, let's say it's a hotel, it doesn't matter, it could be almost anything, but how we allow that to have the ability to expand and create, within the community. Because what we really want is, I don't want to speak for the council, but in my mind, is have those companies and let's say hotels or businesses that come in that do want to make the investment because they are confident in Port Richey and the future that it has. Because right now we're in the prime spot for all that right now. But where we're failing is to get those right agencies in here to make those investments. And I think that's on me to help, in that process, and talking with some of you, because I think, so I'm going to talk with some of you after the meeting on some strategic ideas I have, but I think we can get there quicker than we know, but it's something that I'd have to pass the council for, at least a review for, at least direction for a strategic plan as we move forward towards the development of Port Richey as that waterfront project that we all envision, that we know can be accomplished, but being able to accomplish it with investment dollars, not just, city dollars, because if it's city dollars, we're not going to get much accomplished. But if we get those investments, we're going to get big, better, broader, and we're also going to get buy-in from all the companies, all the businesses that move here, because they're going to be like, hey, this is our home too. And so they'll invest more, they'll participate more, and they'll help the government grow even more with its abilities and capabilities in support of tourism. And that's how I kind of see it.
Anybody else who I want to speak?
Lori?
One of these county people are here. I'm Lori Simpson, 5006 Sunset Boulevard, and I've lived here for 30 years. And when I first moved here, we were supposed to have a Hyatt. Sal probably remembers this. They were supposed to put a Hyatt over there on US 19 where they're building now. And my two daughters recently got married in the past couple of years, and we had 100 people coming in out of state for each wedding. and they want to stay at a vacation hotel on the water. They're not going to stay at any of those hotels along, US 19. They're not rich people, but they want to live. They want to stay at like Innisbrook or Saddlebrook. They don't want to stay at one of these hotels on US 19. I think there's a great need for that. A really nice waterfront hotel with a pool, and also I run a Facebook page for the city, not for the city, but just to talk about city issues. And somebody just mentioned we should have a Bass Pro Shop up by Gulfview Mall. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, that's a great point, because Whiskey Joe's is trying to creating a wedding venue, as well as Brasher Park is a great wedding venue. No place for people, family. You got 100 people, like you said, come in, 150 people. Hotel will give them a special rate, obviously, to stay there, and that's something that would be very beneficial. Absolutely. Yeah,
Mike, you stood up. Did you want to? Yeah, sure. And I'll take you next.
Mike Lowe, Catches Waterfront Grill. When you think about Pasco County and you go up and down the coastline, there aren't any other cities really with what Port Richey has to sell, really. This Bayou District is tremendous, and it really could be a draw for the entire county. When you think about the Angeline project and the Ridge Road extension, obviously that funnels everyone right here, right? So I think it's a no-brainer. It's just how do we pay for it, right? How do we get it done? Whether the design is truly elevated like the one we saw today, which I thought was incredible, or it's like we looked at 2-3 years ago. I forget when the last workshop was on the hardscaping here within the city. But I think it would all, from a business owner's perspective, it would be very welcomed, of course, right? Who wouldn't want it? But I do think we need a hotel in the Bayou District. There's no question. Something on the water, no doubt. I question some of the numbers on the study from the standpoint of, 6 nights is the typical stay for people visiting Port Richey. I think that has everything to do with who they're going to see, and they're staying with family for the most part, right? So I think that number would come down, but certainly occupancy rates are higher on the water, and they would be higher in this area than they are countywide. So with that, I think it's a no-brainer. It's just how do we pay for it, right? So thank you.
Sir, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
In your discussion that you just had, what do you think is going to help that move forward?
Help
Like
the overall project move forward?
By certain infrastructure items that would help pull that in, or is it just relationship building to the point where we're offering areas of opportunity?
Yeah, I think, in the past, and I think we're taking huge steps forward here with this council, because I think this council's a lot more business friendly. And I think, Eric, you had posed the question as to why maybe Marriott or these others haven't done anything here in Port Richey in the past. And I think it all has to do with just their confidence in the city and being able to do what they want to do or what they need to do from a development standpoint. And I think we're headed in the right direction with the council, because I think we've seen a tremendous difference, and we're very appreciative of that. But I think, beyond that, it's someone up here had said it earlier, it's the first project. When that first project goes, I think then the others all see it and they'll start to fall in line. It's just that's the hardest one to get going. It's the first one. So.
But I've got to get that first project done.
Yeah.
You said it, though. They've got to feel confident.
Yes.
Council.
Absolutely.
And to get behind them and support them and their strategy, because they don't want to get into this and drop $1 million, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, good luck with 14.
Yeah, the slightest doubt, and they're just going to move on to the next area, right? That's just
Don, that we could work on. Where do we get assurances in place? Let these
I've got some strategies already built.
When they come to the table, we're not going to play around. We're going to support them and help them.
Yes, and I think with that first big entity that comes in, that there's certain, we're going to have to treat it different up front than most places that are going to come after, because if not, we won't get it established. And I think that's going to be key is, what risk are we willing to accept to get that first business in to build the empire.
I don't even know if it's the first thing, though. Because I know
you guys turn your mic on.
As a businessman, I know a lot of communities that their boards are not business friendly. And they're I get environmental stuff, I get all that stuff, but you can kill a lot of business
by not allowing people to get out there and take their dollars and then run with them.
Yes.
And so I think if we could put together something that would cause them to feel comfortable coming in and put it in writing and make that part of what we do. So if one of us left, it would change what we do.
Agreed.
You know, because that can change real quick. You can go to, you know, a business-friendly community to like, hey, we don't mind renting out 2 kayaks for the rest of our lives, you know, that kind of thing real quick. You know?
Well, that's the incentives that we have been starting to work on, which this council has done, which is the best council I've seen since I've been here in 40 years. As far as
It's the best one we've seen as well. So
And
absolutely.
the tax incentives, the CRA incentives, all that's is important. But I know the form-based zoning also is a security that the developer wants, knowing that he's not going to have a car wash open next to him, or the building next to him is going to be the same as his, and we're going to provide parking for other businesses, maybe not just for his, but we're going to have parking for the traffic. We can get the water traffic, we can get the traffic off 19, as well as European and South American traffic. And we can provide that. The form-based zoning is going to be the ticket to market it for the security and the ease of development.
Agreed. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Frank Grimaldi, Treadway Drive, out on the waterfront.
Yep.
And
Frank.
hi, I think you guys are doing great. We're feeling a lot better that there's more continuity. Things that'll help us now will be the incentives. The developers are looking for incentives, and they're really. I'm meeting with hotel developers and the higher end hotel developers, and they do want a concept for the waterfront district. They don't want to build their high end hotel right there if nothing else is happening. Some things that'll help us drastically right now, though, would be our infrastructure, and it would make a big difference immediately. The simplest things that have already been approved, and the CRA money is there. It's going to be like surfacing the roads, putting in our sidewalks, and landscaping, and then lighting. If we do those things there with advertising to get people off of 19 over into the district, we want to have this as a destination area. They can drive right through Port Richey right now and go to Tarpon Springs, Dunedin, Newport Richey.
Let's go there.
And Johns Pass. So at one point, our theme was going to be, it's going to be a fishing type village. And it really should be a whole theme for our waterfront district as maybe a fishing village, but it needs to have a real modern spin to it together. And with the lighting, the sidewalks, these things immediately would make a big difference. Everyone will know the continuity down there, and they'll know that the city's got their back, and they're going to want to develop there. Some of the issues that the developers look at when they're talking about resort hotels are, they call them ADRs. It's let me see. The ADR is the average daily rate that a hotel can make for that room. And so they're looking for certain numbers, and those are the cities that they go into. And right now our averages in Pasco County are between $102 a night and $175. And the higher end resort hotels want to be up around 230, maybe there or better. But a waterfront hotel can bring that. But once again, they just want the continuity and your support, which we're getting now, and we really appreciate it. And we've got property there. We've got a little over 1.5 acres, and then we have rights to expand out into the water. We would like to do a waterfront, a walkway that would go along our property. So we support that, and we would just offer that just to get, to help with the boardwalk. And I'm sure Hooters would do the same thing, and every other business owner in there as well. And but thank you very much for what you're doing. Thank you.
Frank, I've got
Yes, sir.
1 second. I've heard twice now talking about sidewalks, lighting, paving roads.
It's
We
been
have
approved.
X amount of dollars in the CRA.
Mhm.
Okay? You've seen Paul LaFrance put up some pretty impressive Vegas style sidewalks and trees and everything else, which you're into the multiple tens of millions of dollars and stuff like that real quick. I'm struggling as a businessman and a realtor professional and those things, going out there and just dropping money, dropping electric lines in the ground, paving sidewalks and putting in asphalt for something we have no clue what it's going to look like later. It's like, before you get in there and develop it, let's go ahead and put these things in, but they're not going to be those things. It's not going to be that way. And I've heard you said, so please explain to me why you say that. So I understand it.
Before you got here, these were already approved. These were feasibility plans that were already in place and approved.
I understand.
Ayers did the study.
Right.
And it was all laid out exactly, and I think they had the support.
8 years ago.
Let me comment on that.
Okay.
Because the guy who beat on 550 doors to get to this seat right here, talked.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't think we had the board in place then that we do now. And it was said by Mr. Lowe. And so just because they said, hey, we need a baseball field because they'll come, doesn't mean we need to build a baseball field. It means we need to make sure we do it the correct way. And having a wise board that we have right now, I think it's important that we look at different options. So as I can appreciate you're ready to go build the sidewalks and the lights and all stuff, I don't know if that's our best bet. I think that getting folks involved like Pasco County and, this design that's, being portrayed to us, these are things that we need to get going on versus just taking our CRA money, just dump it to something that it might be dug up in a year from now with the bulldozer. Does that make sense?
It's been neglected down there. And I thought we had the money to do this, and they did the feasibility studies on it, and everything was laid out, and it showed the roads, the sidewalks, and the lighting. That's why we bought that property. We bought the property because of the city. We went to the city and had meetings, and they said, we are doing this. Well, maybe we're still doing it, and it's in the works, and we know it is. Same with the dredging. But those are reasons why we wanted to be down there. And if the city's not going to take care of the roads and surface the roads and how long do we have to wait for those things? I don't want to wait for 2 more years for a developer. We want it now. And that's going to really believe that that's going to spark energy down there now to do that.
If I could. So obviously, we're a small city, we have a very limited budget.
True.
We work well within that. So we can't afford to make mistakes. Okay, I think that's the biggest part, and it was a great project, and I think if you look at it in a vacuum, the businesses that are there now in the footprint that they take, I think that's a great project for the area. However, as we start talking about all that being for sale, which is when I first got elected, that was kind of the what's going on. Everybody's selling the property, and so that being said, it was my thinking: why do I want to invest millions of dollars in road infrastructure for something that may be totally different 5 years from now? So, we still have the money. It hadn't been spent. And we have that. And that's something we can deploy relatively quickly because we have all those plans. But I think, as you've seen, the 8.5 acres that Gildog owns is sold, and it's been cleared now. And so they're going to bring proposals forward. We did get a sneak peek today of what they're going to bring forward. And so as that happens, that landscape may change a little bit. Now, there are issues down there really we need to address from a patching perspective, regardless of what happens. Do we go down there and mill the whole road and put a new road in? I think that's probably premature, but I think we need to at least get it safe and drivable. But as these plans, and I know that property you're talking about is for sale, right? And I know there's been conversation about that. Yep. These things aren't moving because of price, right? So everybody wants to get the most for their property, and that's noble. I think if the market was there, you'd see those properties change hands. But since it's not to that value, I mean, we've got, like you said, there's people looking. Why they haven't stroked the check is probably because it's outside the price range to make it work. So I think as those market factors come together, and you have the buyers that are willing to pay X amount, and you have the sellers that are willing to meet them at that X amount, those change hands, and then we start having things come in, and hey, we want to do this, and then the city is all about obviously putting forth the infrastructure to support those things, and we can do that, and we have some dry powder to be able to do that. But if we just go down there with the hope that let's do it this way, we're going to be ripping those roads back up. And I can tell you right now, with the development that's going to happen on where the Gildog restaurant was, and that's one of the worst roads right there, Treadway. You're going to have trucks and stuff going on. They're going to destroy it as soon as we put it down. So it doesn't make sense for us to do that because it just becomes a waste. It's throwaway.
I understand.
So I feel your concern, and again, I think like you all said, I think the council wants to support that, but we want to be good stewards of the money we have, and we want to make sure that when we do lay it out there, that it's going to last several years, and we're going to get the most value out of that for the residents. Otherwise, we just got to go back to the well and have to tax residents more to pay for roads 2 and 3 times to get it right. So if it wasn't for the fact that the entire area was on the market, I think we'd probably move forward with that. But since it's all, we need to kind of see how that shakes out. If your property goes off the market, you guys want to stay there as it is and maybe do something with it, then obviously let us know that, and we can probably start to look at maybe more.
We just don't want to wait. The whole waterfront district is over 20 acres. Gill Dogs is 8 acres. How long is it going to take for that property to be developed? A couple years? We have to wait.
They're talking about shovels in the ground this year.
We still have to wait for a couple years for the rest of our roads. So the rest of the waterfront district gets kind of put on hold until that project happens.
And I'm saying
we don't want to wait.
Yeah, I don't say put the whole district on hold, but I think we need to see what we need to put in there and how it's going to lay out. Like I said, let's just say for argument's sake that we love this thing that Paul LaFrance showed and we want to move forward on that. That's a total rip up of all that down there, right? And so we got to lay that out. Again,
that takes a long time to do. It costs a lot of money, but what you can do immediately is the simplest thing. Take care of the roads, take care of where the people walk, where they walk on the sidewalks, give them some lighting, and that's all they need down there. And it'll change the whole area. That's going to be the cheapest way to move something very quickly.
Yeah, and
really believe that.
Yeah, and I'm not opposed to
all the others.
And I'm not opposed to spending some money down there where it's smart.
Smart money, yeah. And I agree with you, and I appreciate that.
Incentivize the developers to rebuild the roads. If we were to build something now, something adequate now that drew people to the area to even bring developers in.
We're obviously
then
going
we
to be
could
working.
incentivize the takeover of the cost to the developers who come in later. Like transfer the cost to the developers and give those discounts that we were talking about at our last meeting.
They're going to be impact fees and all kind of things, and they're going to have infrastructure. We had a conversation today about some of the infrastructure needs that they're going to need for their project, and so that's obviously something we'll be working through very soon too. So you're talking about the entire north side of the waterfront is going to be addressed relatively quickly, and that's a direct road right to your property back there. So, and that's actually the worst. Treadway's probably the worst road down there, I would say.
I do feel like we have to do something sooner than later. Those roads they're terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know what it is.
We could send a patch truck down there and work wonders.
Can I ask this? What business do you run down there right now?
I'm in the commercial real estate business.
So you don't run any business yet?
No, sir.
So you're just fishing for somebody to buy the property? Tell me.
We own many properties and they're all on the market. Every property we own.
Down there specifically, because that's what
Everywhere in
I'm
Pasco.
trying to help you, Frank.
Down there,
They're
on the market.
They're on the market. So you want me to put sidewalks and lights and streets in?
So I can put a developer in there that's going to build something big for the city. Right now, when they look at it, it's not real exciting.
What's exciting is they've just cleared 8.5 acres down there.
That's very exciting, yes.
They're ready to dump hundreds of millions of dollars in there, and your properties are attached to that. That's what's exciting. You know what I'm saying? And we want to make sure we use the money we have as like powder keg. You know, when the developer goes in there, like, hey, we need this. We're like, poof, we throw it there, and all of a sudden that thing takes off and flies. We want to do that. We don't want to build it like we'll build it and they'll come kind of thing. Because I don't think that's a wise thing. I would love for us to, if we have unsafe areas down there,
Fix them today, yeah.
let's go patch it up. Let's get that done. That's fine. I'm all for that. But we can't make that place look like a brand new community down there when we're getting ready to get all kinds of developers coming in from different directions.
We need to patch
I
up
think
the
that
boat
would be
ramp.
very poor of us to spend the taxpayer dollars like that.
Understood.
I think the next step is for our city manager, which we're very fortunate to have, by the way. I'm very happy to have Don King here. He does have some knowledge of this. He's dealt with before. With Pasco County's from form-based zoning people, that they write that stuff, and developers can come with, we want 4-foot sidewalks, 6-foot sidewalks, 8-foot sidewalks, we want shrubs, trees, what kind of trees, or maybe certain roads don't want that. So we can find out what that some developers, even current developers, would like. And then Don can get with that people and they can come in and show our planning and zoning board what it would take to create a district like what Paul LaFrance might create or somebody might create and say, well, this is what we want to do based on what developers have said and what's possible with home-based zoning. So I think that would be our next step. We got to take the step though.
One thing too, Bob, and Frank, obviously we've got, we're looking at replacing the mains down there to upgrade the mains because they're currently at what, 4-inch, I think, down there? Is that main? And we need to go to about 8-inch mains in the waterfront for some of the stuff? Or?
Well, that's also been put on hold because of the future development. So we don't know the needs of that area. That was actually part of the entire Cody River Landing project was replacing the water mains, replacing the roads, the sidewalks, the lighting, which was, like I said, we do have the plans for, but obviously wasn't executed because now of this future development. So all of that now is up in the air until we know what the needs of that development is going to be.
So there's a lot of missing information here for us to make the right moves from infrastructure perspective, right? All the way down below the water pipes, sewer pipes, and all that. And so that's why we're really kind of waiting to see how all these things that are for sale go and what they're going to put there so that we can service it properly. If we just put lipstick on a pig so everybody sells the property, we're going to be ripping all that back up, and that's millions of dollars just get thrown away.
We may not have fuel money we have to incentivize people.
Yeah. And really, from my perspective, if I'm looking for a property to do something with and I see what's going on down there, it might be a little more nice to drive over nice roads, nice lighting, see sidewalks, or whatever. If I'm focused on that one particular restaurant or whatever's down there that I want to just fix that up, that's great. But if I'm looking at it much bigger picture, if am I going to put a hotel there? Am I going to put a conference center or whatever? I may want to have that flexibility that I can move that stuff around, and the city can help me do that. Talking about the boardwalk along the water, I think that has to happen with any development. We need to make sure that that's open all the way around that corridor, that residents can walk around that water. And I think that's what people are going to want to do.
You got a marina there. You can't go through the marina. It's a private marina.
Well, we can snake it around.
Right.
We want to, as much as possible, we want to walk along that water. So.
Well, the water lines can be put in pretty simple, Daryl said, according to the development and demand. As far as, some people may want to tear up a road. They may, if we eliminate this road, I can build this here. So, like you said, we pave it, put sidewalks in, and say, we'll build your parking garage, but you need to tear this road up in order for it to fit. So, like I said, if Mr. King can get with, the zone developers in Pasco County and new developers, see what they want to do, may take a little bit of time, but he can bring that to planning and zoning, and they can kind of give us some kind of direction, like we were talking about, sidewalks, lighting. Paul LaFrance would be happy to help if you want that. That's up to Don. I think that would be the first step in doing this.
And I think there's some opportunity with partners that are out there that have not been mentioned yet, that I have an idea that I'm going to probably go and engage with that will help, with the overall project. I think that they will be willing partners. I just got to sit down with them and have that detailed conversation on, benefits worth against risk.
So I think help's on the way.
It would help drastically, and any developer that ruins a road or destroys something, they're going to repair it, and they're not going to access Treadway. They're just going to come off at 19 to access that development anyway. But if we were able to do anything in the infrastructure, it would help drastically, and everyone in the community would see it immediately, and they would know, and they'll spend more time down there. If we can't afford to do the garage or the big concepts, let's do something down there, not just sit on the money. We have to come up here and talk about it all the time.
Well,
how many times do we have to come up and talk about what we need down in the...
This is the reason for the meeting, and I appreciate everybody being here, especially you, Frank, because you've been here quite a long time, been here 40 years. But the reason the meeting is because we're starting incentives, and we got a mayor and a council that wants to do something, but we want to do it right. This is everything we presented today is incentives, and why. Why it's important to incentivize tourism in a hotel, why it's important to incentivize public parking. A hotel may build a parking garage for us, if we incentivize it properly. And the form-based zoning is going to create the security and the ease of doing that. that's the first step. And I think, like I said, Don can meet with the right people to get the right message and to bring to us what we need to do. In the meantime, we can look at different ideas of form-based zoning. It's on YouTube. They got all kinds of different ideas, like 5 minutes, some are 10 minutes, but it gives you really good ideas. So when we start doing these incentives in the meetings, we understand what they can do and how much value. So tax incentives might, or CRF might be more higher for these projects than it would be for this project. Like I said, everybody, our current developer, he should be incentivized.
Mhm.
So should Mike or anybody else than you that are down there too, equally. So we gotta figure out how we can do that tax-wise and CRA-wise. But this is all this stuff is important to help us figure out how to do that to get it right the first time.
And that incentive policy, we're working on that now. That's underway. There's just a draft form out there. And so actually that's going to help when that's finalized from a real estate perspective. Here's what the city has from an incentive package to be able to develop things that helps market that property. So I think we're doing that. And by all means,
We appreciate it.
and this, I mean, if we got issues, have utilities go down, drive those roads down there, get patches on them. I mean, it needs to be
All right.
taken care of until we do something more permanent.
We're gonna do the docks at the boat ramp. We need to fix that south side of the boat ramp so we can put that finger out first so we can still use the boat ramp while we're building the other docks. And it needs to be dredged as
Well,
well.
the
So
boat
there's a
ramp's
lot of things.
Boat ramp's open now, right?
Yeah, but that boat ramp is dangerous. The dock
We've
is.
already kind of crossed over that and talked
We
about
did.
that. They've been down there and passed it. Here's the answer. Help's on the way.
Yes, sir.
Brother, when they go down there and they've got Pasco News down there and they're taking pictures and we got shovels in the ground and we're putting our feet on those, you ought to be going, yeah, let's go. Because you're going to start to get some action. And right now, I think that's the best action we can do is get that thing started. Because it's attached to that whole area down there. And that's what
Helps.
it takes.
Yep. Thank you all for your support. And I appreciate what you're doing. Definitely. I know it's a tough job.
Participation.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? Lori?
Lori Simpson, 5006 Sunset Boulevard. All the development that I've seen on this side of 19, they have to add like, I don't know, 6 to 10 feet of dirt first before they start developing. So if you put any sidewalks down there, it's just going to be a waste of money. So find out how much dirt they have to put down before they start developing.
Anyone else? Okay. See, so the last thing we have on here is, I think we kind of ended, is a question and answer session.
We kind of went through that.
Is there anything else before we entertain a motion to adjourn? Anybody wants to ask while we're here?
Just say thank you to everybody for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the important part of our jobs is we can't do them without public input, and so we appreciate your being here and voicing your opinions. And like I said, we as May said, I think you see a difference as council. That's because we care and we want to try to do something. I think the city in the past has run many a project off, and so we don't. We're not there anymore. We want to be business friendly. We want to be resident friendly. We really want to make the city the best it can be, and we're definitely doing that. So, get a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.